Let's do the tips and plants of the week.
You betcha.
My tip of the week is don't give up on your annuals. The fall coolness will bring them on. And we're speaking specifically in the Okanagan. It's been so darn hot here that the annuals suffer, but as the weather cools down, they get a whole new lease on life.
Yeah.
Not knowing, of course, because they don't think too much, not knowing that another month and a half and they're frozen. But anyway,
Yep.
we won't tell the annuals that.
No.
We'll let them thrive. My plant of the week is my hibiscus moschus, the summer storm. It's just really looking good right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are a beautiful, beautiful plant, that's for sure. Huge dinner plate blooms on those things. All right, I also have a tip on a plant this week, and my tip of the week is that this is the time of year that if you have any empty garden space and you've taken out plants and you've just got bare soil, you don't want to leave it bare. You want to make sure that you're adding something to that and keeping some sort of plant living there. So that's called a cover crop. So cover crops are available. You can go to garden centers. They'll sell different types of seed packages, and many of them will say right on it, cover crop. And then you just sprinkle that over that area, follow the label directions, and then you'll get some type of plant that'll grow up in that area that'll help to feed the soil. The one that I really like is the crimson clover because it does fix nitrogen into the soil, and it's kind of a nice one. I seeded mine last weekend, and they're already up and growing already, and it's only been 1 week. So there you go. And it's just, I think, a great thing to do. All right, now my plant of the week this week is the Heptacodium myconioides, which is the Seven Suns tree. And it's just a plant that's in bloom at this time of year. It's going to be just pounding out beautiful pink flowers all the way through into October. And it's just one of those interesting small trees. It only gets about 10 or 12 feet high in that range, maybe a little higher. And blooms in September. It's just an interesting time for a tree to flower. So there you go. That's my tips and plants for this week. Remember to check growercoach.com and Grower Coach on YouTube.
You betcha, Ken. That is cool. You know, getting most trees and bloom in the spring.
In the spring,
most
yeah.
Most of them. But there are a few that bloom in the summer and in the fall.
Yeah,
day length today is 13 hours and 25 minutes and 3 seconds long.
Mm-hmm.
They're shortening up. It's we're 2 hours and 56 minutes shorter than that long day in June that we had, 21st of June. So almost 3 hours. We've lost almost 3 hours of daylight. And so, of course, this is triggering a lot of the plants, the chrysanthemums and things that bloom in the fall. This is triggering. And interesting, though, this Montauk daisy that I have, that white daisy, really healthy plants, and I don't see a bloom, not a bud coming on them, so they better hurry up and get going here, because they do bloom in the fall, and it looks like a Shasta, but it's not.
Is it affected by outdoor light, do you think? Because it's a short day plant, so it needs to have the short days in order to trigger the bloom, like some chrysanthemums. Right. A lot of chrysanthemums don't really do that much anymore; they just bloom. But these plants are a relative, I think, of Shastas. They're more like the Leucanthemum relative. Mm-hmm. It seems to be almost halfway between the Leucanthemum and chrysanthemum. Mm-hmm. And it's just a cool plant, but they are affected by day length. That's one of the things that triggers them. Do you have an outside light or something that's shining?
Front, I'm thinking about this, because the front one, the one that I have two of them. I have one in the front yard, right by the road, by the street, and there is a street lamp there, street light. So that could be an issue. The one in the backyard, it's hard to say. I don't know if there's that much light showing there. Yeah. But anyway, we'll see. It won't be the end of the world if they're blooming and it starts to freeze. They're pretty tough.
Yeah, they'll trigger, if not day length number one, but cooling off at night certainly helps.
Got some messages from the folks at the Abkhasi Gardens in Victoria, and we've got Ron Eastwood is going to be calling in at some point today to talk about the events coming up.
Oh, nice.
There's one coming up this next week, so we'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. And I want to wish everybody a happy Labor Day.
Yeah. It's a nice long weekend.
It is.
You know?
It makes a nice long weekend. And my son Joe and his partner Sabrina are in town, and we're enjoying their visit. Stayed up a little late last night, but it's okay.
That's the way it goes.
Oh, I tell you. Well, Donna and I are having fun recently. We've been watching Downton Abbey.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'd never known about Downton Abbey till about 2 months ago, and Donna said, you should watch this with me. And I said, oh, okay. I started watching. Once you get to know the people, the butler, the Carson, the butler, and the various the personalities and whatnot, it's kind of addicting.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who watch. I don't actually watch, but I probably will at some point.
It's something else. I've been calling Donna Milady lately, and she's been calling me Milord. We're the Lord and Lady Burnett. We don't have any servants, mind you. We pretend we do.
Yeah.
but we don't have these people waiting on us.
You wait on each other. It's fabulous.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fascinating to see back in the day in the aristocracy of England how they would have somebody who actually dresses you in the morning, which is quite interesting.
Wow.
Hey, if you guys don't, if you guys don't mind for 1 sec, the phone line's just having a little bit of an issue. We have some people calling in. I just want to let them know I can't answer the phone right now. I'm going to go reset it once we hit a break.
Okay. Yeah,
perfect.
The phone we have an issue with the phones, folks, and we will get back on board here. So if you're trying to phone in, hang on. We will get to you.
It should be good after the next break. So,
you betcha.
Perfect.
And when you do, it's 250-862-2525 or 1-888-780-4273. But we will get that sorted out very quickly here. Fairy ring mushrooms.
Yep.
They're happening. And Marasmius aureates. I brought my mushroom book with me.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Foraging for wild mushrooms, edible wild mushrooms. And they talk about, there's some that, are so easy to identify, and there's absolutely, but I don't like to talk about mushrooms on the radio just willy-nilly and just say, oh, go out and pick some mushrooms and eat them. Yeah. Because you can run into some pretty, toxic ones.
Yeah.
However, if you do your homework, there are some, like you can't miss with Marasmius aureates. You can't miss with the shaggy mane.
Yeah, morels are pretty good, because I have identified the false morel, but I don't really find it looks at all like a morel, really.
That's right.
It's sort of similar-ish, but not really at all. So, there's certain mushrooms that you can identify. Even the puffballs, the puffballs are great mushroom. Yeah. If you catch them, you'll see them when they're just like a little button and just starting out. And then by the next day, they're the size of a loonie. Yeah. And that's perfect. You harvest them right away. And they're beautiful, white all the way through, and you can fry them, and they're just lovely.
Sauté.
Oh, really good, very tasty. But you can tell right away if you cut them in half and there's any kind of sign of a slight green discoloration or anything, then they've gone too far. For sure.
Right. Yeah. So anybody out there that has had mushroom experience, talking to edible mushrooms, you might want to share your experience with us. We've had some fun with them over the years, and Ken and I have talked about mushrooms for many, many years now. And my dear friend Brian Todd, who passed away little over a year ago, sadly, my music teacher, and subsequently we were in bands together over the years and played music and dances and stuff. Anyway, Brian was a shroomer. He was what they call a
mycologist?
No, mycophile.
Mycophile? Yeah. There you go.
He was great. And I would go to him with a sample. I would find some mushrooms. I found some on the golf course one time, and I didn't know what they were, but I thought, well, I'll go and find out from Brian. So he said, oh, these are such and such, and they're great. So we chopped them up, we sauteed them, and had a nice little meal with some that, along with other things, of course. And he... I don't recommend this. This is a story I'm going to tell you, but I don't recommend it.
It's got to be at least 7 feet tall.
Brian said,
more.
well, if I don't know what it is, I think I know what it is.
Blooming like crazy,
sure,
too.
I will take just a tiny little bit, and and try it and wait.
Not spectacular bloomers.
Don't be doing
Don't
that,
do
folks.
that.
This is
They're
not
kinda
something
fragrant
I'm
at night.
recommending to do. But
Not
my
quite
dear
as
friend
nice as
Brian
the
Todd
regular
used to do that,
Nicotianas,
and I laughed when he told me
but,
that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
pretty,
Yeah, well, there's
I
so
wondered
many
why he was so
plant.
crazy. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Big
There's so many
leaves.
different species. You know, the
And,
chanterelles are just
yeah.
lovely.
I think they're just fun to grow.
And they're just a lot
big
of
ones.
a lot of really great mushrooms out there, and they're very, very tasty. So it's fun. It's a hobby. It's something you learn. And if you do have a local club where they go out and show you different mushrooms, it's fun to do.
Yeah.
Get involved and learn
A
some
mushroom club.
stuff.
There's a club
Yeah.
for everything, Ken.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, and Jaden's going to go and fix those phones.
Yeah.
He's going to climb up the pole outside and tie the wire together again.
Yep.
Okay,
Put her back together.
we'll be back with the Garden Show after this short break. Announcement. The phones are now up. You can now phone in to the Garden Show. There you go. I just thought I'd put that public announcement out.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I've sown the 900 Walla Walla seeds from Stokes, and they're up. Not fully. The germination wasn't perfect on them.
No.
But they do have 2022's date on them.
Oh, yeah.
They're last year's onion seeds.
Oh, okay.
If you're going to buy, I'm just trying to think how to do this, because onion seeds don't hold up. We know that from our experience at the nursery, at the greenhouse operation. Onion seeds just don't hold up. Like
They got to be fresh.
Yeah, it's anyway. So
And it's hard to get fresh onion seeds right in the middle of summer,
Well, that's
which
right.
is when we want to seed them. I want to seed them on August 1st. So I bought the 3 different varieties. I got Kelsey's, and I got the Elsa Craigs, and then also the Walla Wallas. And I seeded them all, and I would get like out of a whole package of seeds, which has maybe like 100 or so seeds in each one. I only got maybe about 8 or 10 germinated. That's it. And then out of another package, that was the Elsa Craig's, the Walla Wallas, or I mean the Kelsey's. There was about maybe 20, out of 120 seeds. Yeah. And then the Walla Wallas, I seeded 2 full packages, so about 300 seeds, and I ended up with about maybe 30 to 50 plants, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
So very poor germination, and so exactly what you just said is you got to have fresh seed. And what I would maybe suggest is that you buy it in the spring when it's fresh and put it in your refrigerator,
right,
where it's kept cold, rather than just having it, at room temperature. Because that's got to help, or freeze it, really, I guess.
Yeah, freezing would work. We used to keep a lot of seeds in the freezer. We want to say good morning to Ariel, who has not been listening to the Garden Show this morning because she was phoning in and didn't realize that we knew all about it. So, good morning, Ariel.
Well, that's what happened. I called you 6 times, and I had the speaker on my radio turned off. So there you go.
Well.
You must really need to ask a question this morning.
I do. But first of all, let me tell you a most exciting thing. There was a popcorn orb spider that decided to make her web outside of the front of our building, and it was amazing. I got pictures of her and everything.
Oh, nice.
So,
was it her?
It is. Her.
Well, I'm calling her.
How do you know?
Because they're always. Who knows?
Did you check it out? Yeah. Anyway, okay.
I love this time of the year when it gets cooler and the plants just go.
Yeah, it's a beautiful time of year.
Yeah, it really is. The big beef tomatoes. Listen, I'm just wondering if you guys have experienced the fact that they stalled during that weird weather we were having. That they didn't sort of ripen up as much, and now they're starting to ripen up. And can I count on them, the big ones, getting red and riper and riper?
Oh yeah. As fall comes on, though, the ripening aspect is going to lessen because of the cool evenings, cool nights. They're a tropical. They in the Okanagan, for instance, last night it got like this morning. It's only 9 degrees, so it probably got down to about 6 or 7 last night here in the Okanagan, and that's a little cool. That's a little cool for tomatoes, but But my big deal with my tomatoes, and we were showing you, Ken, the other day how they had such a core to them, like that hard white core in there.
Yeah.
And you were saying that it is mainly the sun,
Heat.
the hot sun, and causing that. I'm just wondering if anyone in the Victoria listening audience had any issues with tomatoes having that, because you may not have quite the intensity of the heat, so you might be in better shape.
Yeah, well, Ariel, your plants, it's a little unusual in a way. Are you finding that the tops of the plants are staying green and the bottoms turning red, or?
No, but I am experiencing a lot of splitting in the in the tops especially.
Yeah, and these are all heat issues. The stalling occurs with any plants. Once the temperature outside reaches about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, it's actually even closer to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. That once it hits those temperatures, the plants stop photosynthesizing, and so a lot of things stop when it gets hot. And we had weeks and weeks and weeks of and months actually of temperatures where we were just cooking. And some plants, they're sort of let's say developed to withstand it, but their method of dealing with it is to go dormant for a while and wait for the weather to change. And so that's maybe what's happened with yours, is that they just kind of stalled.
I think that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And I thank you. I sort of thought that was it, but I had to check it out with the experts.
Yeah, and bring
just one more.
Bring some. I was going to say, just bring in a few of them and just ripen them in the kitchen, just on the counter, and see how they do, and see if there's a difference, between the ones outside and inside.
Yep.
And next thing, just one more question I have about the house, all the house plants I've got outside, the sansevierias and the jades and the Christmas cactuses. Mm-hmm. We don't bring those until what? Middle of September, end of September.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's exactly it's. And even like as Don was saying, it was pretty chilly the last couple nights. But that's okay. It's just an occasional thing. I think we'll be warming up at night here as we go along. So it's really watching the night temperatures, and when they're down in that getting close to 5 degrees, that's when you sort of have to start thinking about it and knowing the plant. Like some plants, they just cannot handle the cold and they don't like it, and they stall too, but sometimes they stall to the point of almost dying with tropicals, right? But those, the Christmas cactuses, they're pretty good. They'll go right down to almost freezing sometimes, so they're pretty
and jade
tough.
And sansevieria too, right?
Yeah, they're pretty tough.
Yeah.
I leave mine out, Ariel, till the last minute before it freezes, but some things, I have to pack the greenhouse. We're going to have to move on. We've got some callers waiting, but Ariel,
Bye-bye.
Nice to hear from you. Take care.
Yeah.
And turn that speaker on.
Yes, I will. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, girl. Yeah. Okay, we now have Vicky calling in. Good morning, Vicky.
Good morning. Listen, I have a mandevilla, and it's a beautiful plant, and I'm wondering, can I bring that in and it would be a house plant over the winter?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
And what about the tendrils? Do I just cut them off so that it's more manageable in the house?
Absolutely. Doesn't hurt to clip it back and make it manageable.
Wrap it around the plant. That's it just depends on what you want for next year.
Vicky, you might experience some defoliation to the plant. Because Ken's often talked about this. They're so used to being outside where they're getting full light and everything. Then you bring them inside, and that foliage isn't properly functioning because what is it, Ken? The pores.
It's a couple different things, but there's it's just plants that basically develop a system of dealing with bright outdoor light, and then when you bring them inside, they don't have that bright outdoor light anymore. So then they literally will often either have to grow new leaves to adapt to the lower light of being indoors. Or over time they can adapt. The chemicals within the leaves can change to make them more adapted to lower light. But I would just say when you bring it inside, keep it in a nice bright window. Remember that they don't need quite as much water when they're indoors as when they're outdoors. And if you can bring it inside when the temperatures are the same inside as outside. That means, so let's say we get into about mid-September and it's like, okay, I got to bring these in because, we're getting close. End of September, anything could happen. It could get a little frosty. You never know. Not likely, but you never know. So then you just watch your indoor temperature maybe is 23 degrees Celsius. Then when you see your nighttime, you wake up in the morning, it's plus 10 outside Celsius. And then by about 2 o'clock, it hits 23. Boom, that's the time. get
So
that
put it
plant
back
when the
out.
temperature's the same and bring it into the house so that it doesn't have a big temperature
Shock,
flux, like a shock.
Okay, because it's hanging out on the deck and it stays out there all the time. So even these nights that are getting cooler, is it still okay out there, or should I bring it in at night?
They're pretty good. I leave ours out right to the last minute, but then, of course, I don't put mine in the house. I put it in the greenhouse. So.
Oh, yes.
I have a greenhouse, and you don't.
I don't.
That's
Okay.
bad, Don. That's bad.
So the
It
other
was.
thing I was wondering is, it's in this one-size
This guy's
pot,
gotta
like
be at
the,
least
I don't know, maybe
7
it's
feet
8 or
tall,
10
maybe
inches
more.
across. So I suspect that there's 2
Blooming
or
like
3
crazy,
plants
too.
in
You
that
have all
pot.
those flowers.
Is it possible to
Not spectacular
put it in a
bloomers,
bigger
but they
pot
look pretty
if it's
nice,
one
and they're
plant,
kinda
or
fragrant at night.
split it up if it's...
Not
Pretty
quite as
difficult
nice
to
as the
split it.
regular Nicotiana.
Is
You
it?
could have, it could be a
But,
plant that originally had 3
pretty-
cuttings in
pretty
there.
interesting plant.
They're going to be really,
Big leaves.
the roots are going to be quite a quagmire in there.
And,
It's going to be hard to
Yeah.
separate them, especially at
They're
this
just
time of
fun
year.
to
If you
grow.
want to do some separation, Vicky,
They're
I
big
would
ones.
suggest waiting till spring.
Till spring.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
how you would
but-
do that is to wash the soil off the roots in the springtime and separate each one very carefully by teasing them apart.
Okay.
But even that, if you did wash the soil off and find that they all joined together in one spot, you're taking a big chance kind of dealing with it.
Okay.
I would personally just keep it as one plant.
Keep it as a
And
plant.
so it would be root bound, and it's happy to be root bound then in that smaller pot?
You know, a lot of
or-
things. I mean, bonsai. Think of bonsais. I mean, how
But
root
it is-
bound they are. I mean,
what it is about how often you have to water it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when you have
Yeah.
plants that are root bound, then they need to be watered really super consistently.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have plants that are in slightly bigger pots, then they're a little more forgiving. But remember that when you go into winter, you don't water as much anyway. So
Okay.
that'll be fine.
So I could go, say, an inch around bigger pot
yeah,
so that
that's
it would have some
typically
fresh soil?
You could, yeah. Typically, what we do with that is when we're going inside, they do get a little stressed when you first bring them in, as Don was saying, that they can defoliate and have some other little stress reactions of going inside. But once they stabilize inside, you just want to keep them stable right through most of the winter. And then when you're getting into March and the days are getting longer and the sun's getting a little brighter, that's a good time to do your transplant. And then I would be
Okay.
looking at that 1 to 2 inches bigger as a pot.
Okay.
And then, you might have a new plant next year and put it in with a bunch of other plants, like in a larger pot, and use it as a specimen on a little trellis or
Right.
something, right?
Okay, thank you very much.
All righty.
I'll do that in March.
thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye.
Vicky. Take
Thanks for
care.
calling.
Bye-bye. We're going to take a short break here. It's the bottom of the hour, and we've got Dan Bruce waiting for us on the line, and we will talk to him when we come back with The Garden Show after this short break. We're back with you on the AM 11. Oh, no, pardon me. We're back with you with The Garden Show. Well, we're broadcasting from the AM 1150 studios downtown Kelowna, but we are welcoming and really enjoy having our friends in Victoria on board here, listening to the show as well. And on that note, we're going to talk to Dan Bruce. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is a very pleasant morning.
It is. It's lovely. The plants are starting to get their second wind now.
And before anything else, on the behalf of the Friends of Fintry Society, I want to extend an enormous thanks to the Northwest Side firefighters.
Oh, yeah.
Fintry has stood through a number of fires in my lifetime, and we appreciate all the efforts that they have made.
Well, in particular this time, Dan, because so many of those people lost their own homes.
Exactly.
And that's a tough story to tell, but
That's something that, and I mean, unless it's close to you, you can't really imagine.
No. Well, so let's talk gardening.
Moving on from there, last year I planted a large pot on the veranda here, planted scarlet runner beans,
Right.
and they grew up and festooned that end of the veranda. I didn't get a single bean, not one. This year I did the same thing, same species, same pot. And this
Sucker
time
for
I
punishment,
have,
are you?
Yeah, Yeah. Well, at first you don't succeed.
Yeah. Try one more time.
So this year I've got about 25 beans.
It's almost a meal.
That's pretty much a meal if you don't let them get too big, because you eat the whole bean. I mean, you slice it and eat the whole pod and everything. Anyway, the issue I think last year is that there were no bumblebees.
Oh, okay.
Because it's the bumblebee especially that pollinates the scarlet runner.
Interesting.
I mean, you see a lot of other insects sort of buzzing around them, and hummingbirds certainly check them out too. But I don't think there's any pollination till you get a bee.
Well, not that you're an entomologist or anything, Dan, but is the bumblebee native to this area?
That I'm not sure of. But they're obviously, the bumblebee is one that certainly gets the job done. But in Mexico, there must be, no pun intended, the bees that do it. Because that is where the scarlet runner is native to.
Okay.
And for those who are into common names, by the way, in the Aztec language, the word for this plant is etl. That's easily spelled E-T-L.
E-T-L. Etl.
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 And you kind of swallow that last T-L.
Yeah, you do. Dan?
Anyway.
Always interesting to talk to you. Now, we've got a couple of callers waiting to get on here, so if you've got something you want to spit out real quick, do it.
I'm going to try keeping the roots of these beans over winter this year in the same way that you do dahlias.
Oh, really?
Oh, that's interesting.
Because that can be done.
Really?
Yes.
Because they're perennial, of course, down in Mexico.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
That is.
So now everybody's going to be digging up their scarlet runner bean roots and put them in the basement. I can just tell.
Well, try something. Try it out.
Yeah, and if you don't succeed, try one more time like Dan did.
One more time.
Dan.
Third time lucky.
Thanks,
okay,
buddy.
That's it.
Pop in. I'd love to show you some things going on.
Yes, and I have to reclaim my cactus.
And you do. I've got it on the bench there.
Yep.
I've watered it once since you were. I took the opportunity to make sure it got watered once, and that's all it needed. So,
good.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Talk to you later.
You betcha.
Dan, take
Bye-bye
care.
now.
Bye-bye.
And we have Pat joining us. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, gentlemen. I love your show. Listen to it every Saturday.
Thank you, dear.
And, my question is, I have tea roses that are about 5 feet tall, and when I lived in Vancouver, we were told to trim them down in the spring after the forsythia come out. But up here in West Kelowna, I don't know whether I should leave them on during the winter and trim them in the spring or trim them in the fall.
You know, I would suggest what I do is I just tidy them up in the fall. I do the heavy pruning in the spring, but I tidy them up. And if they're hybrid teas, you probably you should cover them with something.
Absolutely.
You know, because they are more susceptible to freezing. Although, I must say, I've got one hybrid tea rose. All the rest of them are more floribundas and that sort of thing, species roses. But my hybrid tea is called Just Joey. Yeah. And it is a beauty. It's an apricot kind of a color.
I love those.
Yeah. And last year, we lost so many things in the garden, and we didn't lose that guy, and I didn't cover him. So, you know, it's...
we pull out probably hundreds of dead roses every year, all the hybrid teas that die over winter because they don't get protected. So I would just say go ahead and protect them. And that's just that. I protect actually all roses, even if they're hardy, and they just love it. You know, so I mulch them up about 12 to 18 inches high with a beautiful sort of coarse composty mulch. Like here in the Okanagan, we sometimes use that Nature's Gold product. And it's just perfect. You bury the plant. Not until, Don, that's your tip too, is you always say wait until you're like literally into November
Yeah.
and you're starting to get good hard frosts at night. And then that's when you go out with your bag of mulch and bury each rose up. And then that just protects it to make sure that that part maybe about 10 inches above the ground are saved through the winter. And then next spring, you clean it off and just cut the whole plant down to about that 10 inches high. And the thing will just shoot up and do its thing again. And everything will be good.
Well, that's lovely. Thank you so much. My roses are all got rocks around the bottoms of them. So if I push those rocks back and then put the mulch...
That's what I would do.
Yes.
Let's face it, Ken and I are both anti-rock, but that's...
Yes, I know.
Yeah. Well, not rock and roll. We love rock and roll, but rocks and landscaping is not.
Yeah.
Anyway, we love you. Take care. Thank you for the call. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, dear.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
You betcha.
Bye-bye.
And we have time for Andre for a couple of minutes. Andre, good morning.
Oh, good morning. Thank you for taking my call. I have a question regarding hydrangeas. I live in Victoria.
Yep.
And about a month ago, I took some of my hydrangeas cutting and put them in the earth and keeping them wet for a month. It's been a month or 5 weeks now. And
This guy's got to be at least
I can see that
7
they're
feet
starting
tall,
to
maybe more.
develop some roots.
Nice.
And I'm
Blooming
just
like
wondering
crazy, too. You
if
gotta
I
have a look at those
transplant them,
flowers.
because right now they're in small containers. If I transplant them
Not
in
spectacular
larger
bloomers,
container,
but
what
they
do I
look
do
pretty
with them
nice,
over
and
the
they're
winter?
kind of fragrant
What?
at
First of
night.
all, what type of hydrangea
Not
is
quite
it?
as nice as the regular
I don't know.
Nicotianas.
Like,
They're
is
like
it-
the
yeah.
blue,
But,
the big blue.
yeah, pretty,
Well,
pretty
they
interesting plant.
may have been blue at one time, but I
Big
keep them red
leaves.
because I use
Okay.
PA. I use
Macrophyllum.
increase.
Yeah.
I think they're just fun to
Okay,
grow.
well, that's good to know. So
Big ones.
they should be fine. If you could, do you have the opportunity to just plant them into the ground outside, or?
Well, I could plant some, yes.
Yeah, that's what I think I would do. Is I would get them into their natural environment and get them establishing, because in your area you've got several months yet to go before winter actually comes in. And so they should
Right.
have time to establish. And because when you have plants in pots, they're up out of the ground and it's kind of finicky. They tend to dry out too much, or sometimes they can be overwatered, or they can get too cold or get too hot. And so when they're in the ground, they get this sort of a natural environment where the roots are a constant, stable temperature. And if it rains a lot, that's okay. The extra water drains away. And if it's dry, usually they can send out more roots to search for water. So it's just this better situation to have them established in the garden.
Yeah, and also they're protected because there's an extension of the front of the house there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful. So that's
And
what I
it's
would
the north side. Do they thrive better on the north side, or do they want more sun?
I think in your area they prefer a little bit more sun. Here in the Okanagan, they need to be protected a little bit from the real brunt of our sun, because we do have a different situation there.
Yeah, so we plant here. We plant north and east side, and sometimes I have seen them growing in full sun here, and they are okay as long as they have a good water supply. But in coastal areas, often they'll work in almost any location, but they seem to perform best with a little bit of sun.
Yeah, they bloom a little better if they have more light.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Andre, thanks for the call, and nice to hear you from Victoria. Take care.
Have a good day. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. We're going to take another short break here. We've got Brian on the waiting list here. He will be on as soon as we come back with the Garden Show after this short break. We are here with you every Saturday morning, have been doing this since 1983 when I was 3 years old.
Yep.
I started the show when I was 3, just learning how to talk and garden.
You figured, well, let's try this with a microphone.
Try this out. 3-year-old. It's like Buddy Rich started. He was on the road at 3 years old. Anyway, playing drums. We have joining us right now. Brian. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey.
How are we doing today?
Good. I live in Kelowna here, and in my backyard I have about a 4-foot retaining wall, and above the retaining wall I have an area that's 60 feet by 12 feet. It's on a hillside. And I'm getting up in age, and it's all in black dirt now, and I was wondering what kind of a seeding flower or something that goes back every year that I can plant on the hillside that's got little maintenance. I've got some sprinkler system in it, so I don't have to. I can automatically water it. That would go back every year that I'm getting up in age, and just so I'm not flipping on the hillside or something trying to maintain it. I'm just wondering if there's some kind of flowering seed or something I could plant there.
Well, yeah, what the issue is anytime you get anything on a hillside or a slope is you pretty much have to be able to get up there and do maintenance to it to be able to weed and work it. Trying to put some sort of rock on there or something, or to put fabric generally is an issue. When you have fabric on a slope like that, all the water hits that and shoots straight to the bottom. Yeah. And then you can have washouts and that sort of thing. So it's a tough situation. I think it has to be thought out very carefully. And if you do use like flowering plants, then you're going to have to weed. You're going to have to be
up there,
and that's going to be regular. So
Brian,
you don't really.
Yeah.
You have to be careful.
Are you hooked on wanting to have color, flowers, and things like that, or would you be okay with a blanket of green?
Well, my wife was looking for flowers, but a blanket of green would I just want something that that I can cover it because it's just black dirt now.
I mean, I've been really happy with a juniper called Prince of Wales. I've got that one Prince of Wales in my front bed, and you can walk on it. It's low. It lays really flat. It's hardy. The deer don't eat it. There's all sorts of good things about it, but there's no color, of course. Maybe you could have at the base, just on the top of the wall, plant a row of flowering plants like Rudbeckias or something like that.
Or what you can do too is you can put in larger upright growing shrubs that bloom. And as long as you can run some sort of irrigation, like overhead sprinkling could become an issue on a slope like that. So converting to a drip line would be the way to go for sure.
Yeah, it's only 12 feet wide, so it's not.
What degree of slope do you have?
Oh, it's, I would say probably 30 degrees.
Yeah,
maybe.
So it's a slope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a slope.
Yeah, it's a little bit challenging, but you can imagine, say, this big flat area full with the green junipers with these flowering shrubs growing out of it, like only maybe 3 or something, but some larger shrubs that bloomed, maybe like the Rose of Sharon or like the butterfly bush, which is a beauty that blooms all summer. They're going to need some maintenance at some point. And then, as Don was saying, maybe along the bottom, you could either grow some annuals for some color or add in some other long-blooming perennial of some sort. Because then it's easy to maintain that bottom part, and the upper part would only need once a year sort of access.
How about someone said thyme?
Well, that'll need pretty regular weeding,
It will,
steady weeding, Yeah, it's
not going
to
challenge. The one thing about the Prince of Wales juniper, the only thing we've had happen with it is a little bit of grassy quackgrass coming through it, but not very much. For the most part, there's not a weed that comes through it.
Yeah, but there's a period of time from when you plant it and 3 or 4 years.
You still have to maintain it then.
First 3 or 4 years, you're going to have to really keep the weeds.
No
out.
magic, Ted. I wish we had or Brian.
I guess there is a good product, shotcrete. Just spray the whole hillside with shotcrete.
Yeah, spray the whole hillside.
And then spray it with, or then do a beautiful a painting of some flowers or something.
Yeah,
that would work.
Yeah, wish we had our magic wand for you today, but unfortunately we don't.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the info. Enjoy your show.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for
Take
calling
care.
in. Yeah, appreciate it.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yes, now I got names mixed up there. That was Ted. Ted's on the line now. That was Brian. Boy, I'll tell you, this old man is starting to lose it here. Ted, good morning, Ted.
Yeah, I think that's me.
Are you sure?
Good morning, guys. I have 2 questions. I'm going to ask the questions, then I'm going to hang up and listen to your answer on the radio because I can hear you better. Mm-hmm. 2 questions. What have you got against rocks and rock gardens? And the second question is hydrangeas. You mentioned there's different types.
Yes.
Regarding that, I understand that people can change the color of the flowers from white or yellow to red or blue.
Well,
how do they do that? And I guess finally, what's the best time to layer cuttings from hydrangeas? So
what area do you live in, Ted?
Victoria.
In Victoria, okay. So the rock question, the hydrangea question, like what types of hydrangeas are there out there, and how do you change the color, and the and how do you root hydrangeas, right? Mm-hmm. That's what you want to know. We can do that if you want to stay on the line, we can do it very quickly here because we got about 3 minutes left before we have to take the break. But
I can hear you a lot better over the radio.
Okay, well then, we'll answer those questions for you if you want to hang up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Ted, right on.
Thanks for calling. Yeah.
Okay, the rock issue. Ken and I are gardeners, okay? Mm-hmm. And when you lay landscape fabric down and put rock on top of it, it's not gardening.
You can't garden. Yeah.
No, you can't garden.
Because gardening requires that getting in, moving plants, dividing, and working in the garden. So gardeners just like to have nice compost on the surface so they can go out and move plants and plant new stuff and then divide things. It's work, but it's fabulous.
And we're not totally against it, but couple of reasons why we don't prefer doing that is, first of all, it's not a panacea that a lot of people look for, that weed seeds do come and they start landing in between the rocks and growing in the gravel. You can't really hoe those weeds out. It's a difficult thing to once after a few years, it gets to be quite a mess. Then secondly is that the plants themselves with the landscape fabric and that don't do as well because landscape fabric and rock is not like your natural forest litter.
It kind of suffocates the soil a little bit.
Three types of hydrangeas, three main ones. The macrophyllum, which is the one that you will find a lot down the coast more than the Okanagan.
It's the only one that you can change the flower color.
That's right.
You can't change the colors on any of the varieties except for the macrophylla, which are the big pink or blue ones, and that's the general color options are pink or blue. They are pink in an alkaline condition, and they are blue in an acid condition because of aluminum
7 feet tall, maybe
So
more.
in acid conditions, aluminum is freely available to get absorbed by the roots, which change the flowers to blue. And in alkaline conditions, the aluminum is locked in. It's very simple that way. And we do in the Okanagan here, we use aluminum sulfate, which has sulfur that acidifies in aluminum that changes the color blue. And we apply that every week or two and turn the
big leaves.
All right, we're getting down to the end, but the last thing is just propagation of hydrangeas. You do it in the summertime, hardwood cuttings. Around the beginning of August is a good time to take your cuttings, and you can direct stick them, put them into pots. All shrubbery are often done August 1st, and by now they're rooted.
Boy, if we got that down pat. We did 3 questions right off the bat. We only got a few seconds left before we have to take the break. And that's what we're going to do. We love being here every Saturday morning, and we really enjoy having our Victoria listeners listening in as well. And, on that note, we're going to
take a break for the news.
Take the break for the news, and we will be back with the Garden Show after this short break. You betcha. We are here every Saturday morning, and it's nice to have Jaden here this morning. He is waving his arms, and happy boy. He's a happy camper. Last night, we had a wonderful visit with our son, Joseph, and his mate, his partner, Sabrina, and we sat around the fire pit last night. We lit the fire pit for the first time this year.
Yeah.
This fall, I should say. In the spring we had it. And we'll use that little fire pit there probably right through, even when it's snowing outside. It's so nice because we got the covering there. It's really quite nice.
The beautiful thing with the gas is it doesn't have the sparks and whatnot.
Well, that's right. When I say fire pit, it's a gas fire pit, safe and sound and whatnot. Oh, and Ken, I've got on our patio table a sample about a 2-inch chunk of bark, blackened bark. You know where we live on Rhonda Crescent, and that's where the embers were. That's how far the embers were flying.
Oh yeah,
on that Thursday, 2 weeks ago, Thursday. I'm telling you, it was rough.
Yep, that's a very scary situation. That's for sure.
Yeah,
and it's still not over for a lot of people. They're still having issues up in.
Of course, the fire's not out. The fire is not out. It's
a long-term thing. Hopefully, the weather will change. We get some more rain, all that kind of stuff, and we'll all get through this and get into winter, and then we can start planning gardening for next year.
You know, I'm going to talk about. We've got Addie calling in. We want to talk to Addie, but after that, I want to talk about weed seeds. And crabgrass again. We'll talk about crabgrass and weed seeds because it's almost too late for the crabgrass. Although taking the crabgrass out now is going to be beneficial, but they're already the seeds are dropping on the crabgrass.
It's too late. It's kind of too late, but
still wise to do it because you will get quite a few.
You still remove over 50% of the seed.
And we want to say good morning to Addie. Nice to have you on board here, Addie. How are you doing?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing fine. Sounds like you guys are off to a good start as well.
Oh, yeah.
I just have one little tip, and that's for Brian. What about white lace on that bank that he's got?
White lace?
White lace? What kind of white lace?
Well, it's just a shrub.
Silver lace vine, maybe.
Silver lace vine, that's it. I'm sorry. I've always called it white lace because a neighbor of mine called it white lace, and we had it they had it on there, and it was fabulous.
Mm-hmm. It grows quite thick, too.
It grows thick, and it grows quickly, and it also flowers the whole year through, the little white flowers.
Yeah, they're still in bloom right now.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering about that sort of for the upper bench for him.
Yeah, the thing with silver lace vine, they call it a mile-a-minute vine because it literally it can grow 20 or 30 feet in a single, each shoot in a season. They can cover quite a big area. And they are sometimes grown on banks where you plant them at the bottom of the bank and kind of train them up a little bit, and they'll grow sort of on the upward direction typically. And they're fine. And the beauty with that is you can just water at the base of the hill or wherever the root is and just let the top run. Their only minor issue with those vines is that the mice will eat the bark from them. And so I have seen big plantings of them being damaged by mice. But that's not insurmountable. I mean, a few mouse bait traps each fall. It's always in the fall when the mice start moving around. So, that's when you want to start putting out your base trap or your bait traps and, get on it. I'd say by the end of September, you got to be on trapping. But if you had junipers, you want to do the same. If you have pretty much anything that's like a massive ground cover, you're going to get rodents living underneath that. So just be prepared and take care of that biz, and the rest of it's easy.
Yeah. Okay, now to my question. Should I be bringing my cactuses out?
No,
you're talking the Schlumbergia, the Christmas cactus?
All the cactus. No, not the Christmas cactus. The cactuses that, the cactuses that need warm weather. I put them all outside, and should I be bringing them in now, or can I still wait?
It's your call. I think probably end of September would be adequate for them.
End of September.
Yeah.
Same with the Christmas cactus. It's just we're getting these cold nights right now, but I don't think that's going to continue. But I just watch the weather forecast, and as long as it's say +5 or better, they should be fine. Many cacti that live in sort of the southern U.S. and in that sort of area, they can actually they freeze sometimes at night in those areas. So depending where the cactus is from, the Schlumbergias, as Don was saying, or that group of any of the Christmas cactus or Easter cactus, they really they should be kept away from the frost if at all possible. So
now my next question: hydrangea. You were saying that the microfolia phallia, whatever, is not really conducive to our area.
They're a little touchy. They are subject to frost damage in this area, and we've been having it for the last 3 years straight. And so we haven't been getting the blooming that we should. And so all I'm going to suggest is that we protect them. We grow hybrid tea roses here, and we mulch them and protect those every fall. So we need to do the same with our macrophylla hydrangeas and protect them. It's just that we want to protect a little bit more of the plant. So I like to have something more like a little, either a piece of fencing or something around them, and then stuff it full of some sort of insulative material, whether it's a mulch of some sort or leaves are okay. I don't think it's quite quite protective enough with leaves, but some, insulation of some sort would be ideal.
Okay, so what are the hydrangeas that you can grow here? Because I've got a piece that I need to be putting a hydrangea in it. I like the big white ones. What are those?
Yeah, the Annabelle ones are the really nice big white ones, and they're fine. They can survive in severely cold temperatures and dry and all that. They're very tough. So any of the Annabelle types and any of the PG hydrangea types are just fine. So there's quite a few that grow here without any issue whatsoever.
Okay. My next question. Can an iris survive the winter in a pot?
Yes, irises survive in pots, no problem.
So when they're planted in the ground, you can see the roots of them. Mm-hmm. Should you be covering them with soil for the winter, or can they be exposed?
They're fine, just exposed. Actually, yeah, you can.
So they don't need any ground cover, any soil cover.
No, and if we're talking mainly about the German irises, they're the ones that are really bulletproof. And all the ones that I have in the garden, I don't do anything with them in the winter, and you can see the roots right on the surface, and they're fine to freeze or thaw. And being a grower in the past, I've grown thousands and thousands of irises in pots. And, that was a plant that we really didn't have to put away for the winter. We could just leave them sitting literally straight outside in their pots and exposed to all the elements, and they were just fine. They'd come through fine.
Okay, last question. My oleander plant, is it sort of the same thing, and bring it in the end of September?
Yes, about the same.
Yep, they'll take the cool.
Use it, keep it as a house plant in a sunny location, or?
Yeah, growing because they are evergreen, they're predominantly evergreen. So they will keep their leaves through the winter, so they will need some light.
So the direct sunlight won't damage them or anything like that?
No. We had an oleander hedge in Bermuda. I used to trim it.
Yeah, so they're fine. They're fine in bright light.
Yep, you bet.
Sunny windows.
Sunny windows, perfect.
Okay, super. You guys are the greatest. Thank you very much. Have a great long weekend.
Addie, you as well.
Addie.
Take care.
Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And we're inviting and welcoming Ronnie to the show. Good morning, Ronnie.
Hi, of Cassie Garden.
Yes,
oh, nice.
Yes.
There you go.
And it's Ronnie, not Ron. And
yeah, right. I don't know why we had that. Ron is phoning in, but Ronnie, you're much better than Ron.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm phoning with. There's a few things going on in the garden, but I'll just do the art show fundraiser today. Yes. Cassie Garden hosts local artists throughout the summer as part of the Plein Air Artists in the Garden program. Mm-hmm. So they bring their easels and paints and chair and set up as long as they're not on the pathways, getting in the way of people visiting the garden. And they paint the most beautiful scenes from the garden. It's just wonderful. They're going to be there on Labor Day Monday between 11 and 4. They'll be showing their paintings and selling their artwork displayed in the garden. So they'll talk about their paintings if you want them to. And those paintings will be then moved into the tea house, tea room, and in the gift shop from September the 6th to October the 8th. So you can come in any time then and purchase any of the paintings that you want. Anyone who is local who is purchasing a painting, they prefer that you pick it up after October the 8th or 9th.
Yeah.
Because otherwise there won't be any paintings left for people to view.
Right. You want to, keep them there.
Yeah. So some of the paintings are absolutely wonderful. I went last year and I purchased a painting. So I have that proudly displayed in my home. So, it's just a great paintings that are sold. Half the profits go back to the garden to maintain the garden, and the other half goes to the artists themselves. So they all seem to really enjoy coming to such a peaceful setting to paint the beautiful scene. So next week I'll call in about the Grandparents' Day and the plant sale.
Oh, fabulous.
Ronnie, fabulous. But let's just, Abkhazi Gardens, we haven't got much time before we have to take a break, but just tell us the address.
1964 Fairfield Road.
This is in Victoria.
And if you Google Abkhazia Garden, the website will come up.
So it's Abkhazii. And where does the name Abkhazia come from?
Abkhazia is from part of Georgia.
Oh.
Like in Europe, near Russia.
Okay, okay.
And so that's where there's an incredible, beautiful story about how the garden got started and everything. The property was actually purchased by Peggy Pemberton, became Princess.
Okay, now look we've got to take a break, but I would love it if Ken and I would love it if you phone in again at some point. Maybe not today, but maybe next week when we're talking more about the events there.
You bet.
And give us a history of the gardens because it's really cool. Okay. Thanks, Ronnie.
And Ken.
Yeah. Thanks for calling.
You betcha. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Yeah, there you go.
We got to take a short break, and we will be back with the Garden Show after this short break. You betcha. We are back with you on the Garden Show, speaking to you both in the Okanagan area, the Kelowna area, and the Victoria area, and we welcome our folks, our listening audience from all over the place. We appreciate that very much. So I've got Elaine Cameron's her diary from September 1950 here. September 1st, there in 1950, it says hot. Hot. September 2nd, watering, cut lawns, edges with a mower. And now this is interesting, Ken. Here she got September 3rd and 4th, sunny. No garden. In other words, she's not gardening that day because they have the gymkhana and confusion. The gymkhana they had horses, and the folks, the Bennett family had horses as well. R.J. Bennett, and they would do this jumping and horsey things. Whatever they
equestrian events.
There it is. Equestrian events. It wasn't like a rodeo or something. Like it wasn't any bucking broncos. These are all mostly thoroughbreds, and perhaps even some polo, that kind of stuff. Right? Gymkhana, and so that reminds me because I remember when I was a kid, when I was a youngster, and I lived in the area. The Camerons are having their gymkhana today, and
interesting.
I didn't quite understand what that gymkhana was all about. Anyway, I do now. September 5th, cut flowers for Shep and Daisy. These are friends of hers. Watering the sunken garden, and picked and shelled 3 pints of limas for the locker. Now she mentions the locker. That was the frozen food locker on Leon Avenue in Kelowna here. And I don't know whether folks in Victoria had a frozen locker place where you would take food, take your produce,
most likely,
meat and things
those
like
days.
that.
What year was that again?
1950. And that frozen food locker was there right through the 50s and maybe even into the 60s until people most people who would have freezers, right? The frozen food locker took the place of a freezer. And it was kind of a fun thing in the summer for us kids to go to the frozen food locker and pick up some stuff, that Mom had stored there. And there's big wooden frame lockers each person had where you could open the door and put their stuff in and lock it up so nobody took your stuff.
Nice.
And we'd get to wear our winter clothes in the middle of the summer. We'd go in there and it was freezing. It was like walking into a freezer.
Yep.
And, so that's the frozen food locker. September 11th, hot, irrigating. So, it was hot that year, in that year. 49 and 50, though. This is the spring and summer of 1950 and the fall of 1950. But the winter before was one of the coldest winters that Kelowna had ever experienced.
49-50.
49-50. My dad often talked, the winter of 49-50 was really something.
That was one of the years they were driving across the lake?
They were actually going across the lake on vehicles would drive over the lake.
Yeah, and
it's frozen right over.
Yeah, the Okanagan Lake is massively deep, and it doesn't freeze.
Very
it's
seldom.
Not easy to freeze.
It has to have certain conditions to freeze, and once it does freeze, and if the weather stays cold like it did in 49-50, it freezes solid enough that you can actually walk out there. But often, winters are cold enough that it freezes out 30, 40, 50 feet, and people will go up and ice skate on the lake in that weather, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just smaller lakes are a little bit easier to deal with. Safer.
Yeah. Van Fleet, and I've looked it up. She cut the Van Fleet rose off the fence. Van Fleet. And I don't know, I've tried to find out what that was doing. Anyway, Henry began work on the fence, picked 5 pints of beans for the locker again. She keeps putting these beans in the locker, frozen food locker. And then the 13th and 14th, Mrs. Wilmot and I, meaning Elaine, went to the Armstrong Fair. Now it's called the IPE,
right.
The Interior Provincial Exhibition. But I still call it the Armstrong Fair. I can't help it. Anyway, there you have it. And this goes right through to September 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. And it says, no garden, a baby here. The baby would have been one of Elaine's grandchildren, born in 1950 like I was. And I forget which one it was. It wasn't Ian. Ian just passed away a short time ago. But Ian was a little younger than me. I think Ian was 3 years younger. He was my brother's age.
Right.
Yeah. So there we go. It's really nice. Now, I have a diary that I use in my greenhouse. I just call it the greenhouse log.
Yep.
It's not nearly as detailed, and it's not nearly as consistent as Elaine. And I'm going to try a little better to be consistently writing. I'll go and do something in the greenhouse or in the garden and forget to write it down. And then the next year, when did I do that? And I look it up. Oh, I didn't write it down. You know, writing a diary down for your gardening, whether you have a greenhouse or not, just the garden diary, is so useful and interesting, because you can look back and see what you did at a certain time, see when you brought certain things in, see when you put certain things out. I do it enough that I have a little bit of that joy, but not enough. I've got to be a little more consistent.
I like to see things like when it comes to temperature. You know, that something that's sort of graphed a little bit. That's always fun to look at over time, especially when you have a greenhouse like you do. And you do track the temperature.
I consistently every morning take my coffee out to the greenhouse, and I look at how cold it got last night, how hot it got in the daytime. So I got the high and the low inside the greenhouse, high and the low outside the greenhouse.
Perfect.
But other than that, that's consistent. But writing stuff down and documenting some of the things that I do.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the stuff, I'll say I sowed such and such onions or seed or whatever, the date. Took some cuttings of this or that. And but now it's the planning the winter, as much as I appreciate this time of year, I do get a little anxious because we know what's around the corner. We know some of the stuff that has to get done. And bring in the dahlias and just do cover up the fig tree. Oh, I got some nice figs this year, Ken.
Yeah,
you saw I sent and I've dried them. I've dried these figs.
Nice.
And
you're drying everything.
Tasty.
Year.
I'm drying everything.
Yeah, I have prepared a video that you and I did last weekend. About the drying of the fruit and the making of raisins and that sort of thing. And I haven't quite finished it. So I'm hoping
good,
to
because I
it.
haven't sent you those pictures either.
Yeah.
I want to email those pictures to you.
That would be awesome, yeah. And then that way I can wrap that up and get it out on YouTube, and then everybody can have a look at
This
the
guy's
fruit
got to
drying
be at
process.
least
But they're sure
7
delicious,
feet
especially
tall,
those
maybe
cherries.
more.
Oh, my God. They're just like candies.
Blooming like crazy, too.
They're so
You gotta have a
lovely
look
and
at
sweet
those
and tasty and
flowers.
delicious. And, when you reach for something sweet,
Not spectacular
for me,
bloomers, but they look
I don't
pretty
really
nice,
like
and
the
they're
overly
kind of
processed
fragrant at
stuff,
night.
or artificial.
Not quite as nice as the
And
regular
if you can have something like that, that's the closest thing to candy.
But,
you can,
pretty interesting plant.
They're so good, and yet
Big
it's
leaves.
just real food.
We took a bag out to Dominic the other day, and
I think they're just
he
fun
said
to grow.
he sits and watches his TV and
They're big
snacks
ones.
on dried cherries.
Oh yeah, yeah, very nice. So now cherry season is now, I think, officially over for the season. You can still get a little here and there. But
they're still shipping a little bit, but very little now. But boy, it's amazing how long the cherry season does last.
Yeah.
I mean, they were open last weekend.
Last weekend,
yeah. Last weekend was their last weekend they were open. So pretty amazing. Yeah. 250-862-2525 to get through to us here locally, and 1-888-780-4273 if you're in the Victoria listening area or anywhere online. Give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. And at that point in time, we've got to take a break at the bottom of the hour here. We'll be back with the Garden Show after this short break. Okay, and again, we're going to mention for the Victoria listeners that the Abkhazi Gardens at 1964 Fairfield Road in Victoria is having their events coming up now, and that's great. I've got to go visit those gardens, not tonight, but at some point we will get over there and see them. And it's great. Having a historical gardens, and Ronnie's going to phone in next week and talk a little bit more about it. Give us a little bit of history from the gardens.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, you betcha.
Fabulous.
Now, we have Linda joining us. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning. I'm having trouble with my blueberries. They didn't produce any this year to speak of, and the leaves started crinkling up and going brown. Maybe it's the increased heat. Maybe they need more water than usual. I'm left puzzled.
Linda, and you're locally here in the Okanagan, or?
No, I'm Victoria.
Oh, you're
area.
in Victoria, because blueberries should do very, very well down there. Here we don't struggle with them, but they do need extra care, a little bit more monitoring of things, because we have this alkaline soil and they need acid and whatnot. So these blueberries are how old? They've been in the ground for a while?
Yeah, I would say so. I've got some bushes that are about up to my hips.
Okay, so they're the high bush blueberries, and there are weevil issues with blueberries, aren't there, Ken?
Yeah, there's quite a few different disorders, but it's one of these things. Do you notice that they're getting crispy, like around the edges of the leaves at all, or is it more blotchy?
Oh yeah,
or
the leaves are dying off. One of the blueberry bushes I have, the leaves are almost all gone. This is a blueberry bush though that isn't like the other ones. It's small.
Yeah.
It looks to me like they're all dying. I don't know what to think.
Yeah, well, drought is an issue, and it's something we're all suffering with this year in the gardens. But that's something you may know if the plants have been drying out between the waterings, or if you have been watering them or not so much.
I water them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it's one of these things that they really, really need to be consistently moist, and it could be just with the added heat and drought that maybe that is one of the things, because with the browning leaves, crispy edges, and leaves just totally defoliating, that is often the issue. But usually what you need to do is you need to inspect them up close, and sometimes with let's say, or even a photograph would be helpful. Occasionally, but not that often, sometimes there are issues with the root systems, and they'll show up a certain way with the foliage and the way that they're browning out. But it's one of these things, if you, just because it's something that you do need to sort of hold in your hand or have a picture of, you could either email us a photograph of one of the plants that's declining, and then we could, have a look at that and maybe email you back with some information or even further questions, things to check.
Yep.
Or you could take a sample, which is what we usually encourage, is to take a sample maybe about a foot long that sort of shows some green leaves with some browning on it, and then take that to a local garden center or to somebody who knows about plants, and to have them have a look at it, because that's the ultimate, is when you can hold it in your hand.
Ken, you remember years ago when we had the nursery, you discovered quite a bit of weevil issues in our potted blueberries.
Yeah.
Remember? You were digging down.
Oh, yeah.
It was one of the first times I'd ever seen weevils, and you showed it to me.
Root weevils, yeah.
So there's root weevil, possibly. Linda, do you have any new shoots coming at all? Any new growths appearing?
Not that I've noticed, no.
No, okay. Because if it was an event, like got dry, got hot and that, now with fall coming on, you'd see some new shoots starting to new growth. And if you're not seeing that, then there's something a little bit more involved. And I would definitely dig down around the base of the plant and see if there's anything chewing at the bark or chewing at the roots.
And with weevils, the adult will leave a notch like
in the
on
leaves,
the side of the leaves. So finding a leaf that's still green and might have little notches in the sides of them would be something to look for.
Yeah.
No, didn't see any notches. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a bit of a puzzle, but like Ken said, some of these things as horticulturists and people that are checking things out, you almost need to have this in your hand and look. But those are some of the things for you to look for, Linda. And dig around the base and see if you see any chewing of the roots or the and look and dig down beside and see if you can find some white roots activity, because at this time of year you should see that happening, some nice white root activity
near the surface, spreading out.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have a look. And if you do see white roots, that means that there's positivity in the future.
Yeah. So in the spring, it should be smartening up again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, dear.
Okay, bye.
Appreciate the call. Bye-bye now. Yeah, you bet. Okay. This is the time of year that people are planting bulbs, spring blooming bulbs. Some people call them spring bulbs because they bloom in the spring. Some people call them fall bulbs because you plant them in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
But it is bulb season, and the garden centers will have their stock in now, the tulips, daffodils, hyacinths, crocus, and that sort of thing. So you want to, when you get your bulbs, you can plant them right away. Unless you need to create a space for them, you can plant them right away. The old, lot of, over the years, people said, oh, no, you can't plant your bulbs too early because they'll start to grow and then freeze over the winter and blah, blah. No, if that was the case, then the bulbs that are still out there that have been there all summer, they're planted. They're not going to grow. They need the cool period to trigger that blossom for spring. I have an announcement to make, Ken.
Oh.
I have some cyclamen neapolitanum coming up in my garden right now.
Ooh,
it's
nice.
interesting how that works. In the spring, the foliage comes up, and it's got quite a little mass of foliage. And the foliage dies in the summer. And when that happened to me when I first had them, I thought, oh, no, I'm losing my cyclamen. Now, it's just little blossoms coming up.
Yeah.
The blossoms are there, but there's no foliage.
Yep.
So it's quite fascinating. I don't know if that's the way they work in Victoria, but here in Kelowna, that's what happens.
Yeah. Well, there's several plants that do that, and I always think of those the colchicum, the fall crocus, which they do the same thing in the spring. They explode, and they have these beautiful big bunches of foliage, and they shoot up all over the place, and they're quite an aggressive plant. And then all of a sudden, they just gradually just melt away and disappear in the summer.
Yeah.
But then in the fall, boom, they come up these beautiful big pink double blooms, and they're lovely.
They're fabulous, yeah. And
colchicum.
there was something, they keep something out of the garden, too. They have a bit of a skunky smell to them.
Rodents and pocket gophers and that sort of thing, yeah. And
then, of course, there's the true fall crocus, which is the Crocus sativa.
Yeah.
And it's saffron crocus.
Yep.
And mine are just starting to bud now.
And do they produce the foliage at the same time, or do they do the foliage in the spring?
They're not quite like the colchicum. They come up in the spring with the foliage, beautiful massive foliage, but the foliage seems to stay. It's still there now, dying back a little bit, but soon the blooms will be there. And boy, a few years ago, I spent a lot of time collecting the little saffron out of there.
Little anthers. Aren't they?
On the anthers, and saved it. I had a kind of a tiny bit of it. I remember years ago when my son was quite young, Joe read something about you could make all this money on saffron because it's so expensive. I said, well, you need acres of it, Joe. You can't just grow it, a few of them in the backyard. You need a bunch of acres because it is expensive to buy.
It's expensive to harvest.
It's expensive to harvest, yeah. Picky. Almost like drying grapes, or not grapes, well, anything, but cherries. I actually dreamt about cherries the other night because I've been pitting so many cherries for the dryer. And I just dreamt about them. I remember there was a girl that I used to go with back in the 60s, and she was working at the packing house sorting cherries. And I would pick her up after work and and we'd go on a date or
This
something.
guy's got to be at least
Anyway, she used to say
7
that
feet
that's
tall,
all she
maybe
dreamt
more.
about was cherries, seeing cherries rolling by. Now
Blooming
it's,
like crazy,
for the most
too.
part,
You gotta have a
unless
look at
it's a
those
smaller
flowers.
operation, like Jealous Fruits is huge, and it's all
Not
computerized.
spectacular bloomers.
Computer
Laser,
takes
they look pretty
the
nice,
computer
and they're
takes about
kind of fragrant
I
at
forget
night.
what it is, 1,500
Not
snaps
quite as
of a
nice as the
cherry or
regular
something
Nicotianas.
as it goes by.
Grades
But,
it.
Grades it
yeah, pretty,
for
pretty
size,
interesting
for
plant.
condition, for whatever.
Big
And,
leaves.
it's all done with a computer,
And
so it saves
yeah.
people from dreaming about
I think they're
cherries.
just fun to grow.
250-862-2525 to get through to us today, and 1-888-780-4273 if you're calling from out of town in Victoria or anywhere online. Now, what I talked about before we took the break was seedy annuals. We want to talk a little bit about seedy annuals.
Seedy weedy
seedy annual weeds. Seedy annual weeds.
Right.
And if now's the time. I mean, do not let them mature and go to seed.
And we were talking about crabgrass specifically because it it only comes from seed. So
That's
if you let it seed, well, you got it next year. But you can use the pre-emergent seed preventer. Well, you can't. I don't think you can use it yourself in BC.
No.
You have to have a professional apply it, and that has to be timed literally quite perfectly to get effect
in the spring. And but in the old days, they basically did what I have on my sheet, and that is to dig out as much as you can. They're easily to dig out. I just take my knife and cut underneath the crown and pull them, the whole thing out.
Yeah, the roots don't grow back.
Yeah, and then remove all that adult stuff. Now you end up with bare ground, and that's perfect for more crabgrass to start in the spring. And of course, it only germinates in hot areas. It won't germinate where it's shaded. So in the old days, what they used to do was dig out the crabgrass, as we were suggesting, and it's not a big deal to do that, and get all that crabgrass out and reseed, do a little top dressing and reseed those areas. Perfect time of the year to do that, in the Okanagan especially. Reseed the areas, and then in the spring, let your lawn grow a little long as you go into late May and into June. Let your lawn grow a little long in those areas, and that prevents the seed from germinating because it can't germinate deep down like that in the shade of the lawn. You got to keep that program going for about 2 or 3 years, and you'll find you will get on top of that crabgrass issue. If you don't have the time or the energy or whatever to do that, then, as Ken said, give your lawn maintenance people a shout and have them come by and have them treat it with a pre-emergence in the spring. We're going to have to take a short break. We've got Bonnie waiting for us online, and we will be back with The Garden Show after this short break. Bonnie joining us. Bonnie, where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm calling from Kelowna.
Okay, that was my Bonnie lies over the ocean, but you're not. You're right here in Kelowna.
Oh, yeah. She's done that before many times.
I betcha.
I've been having fun experimenting on my deck with lettuce and kale and that sort of thing this year. And the lettuce did really well, and the kale is still coming along nicely, and parsley and that sort of thing. But I wonder if I could start lettuce now, and I don't know if start it outside and then try and grow it under lights in the inside. Or hydroponically.
Yeah, well,
One or the other.
definitely all those leafy crops are easy to grow inside. I think, though, what I would be doing is sort of starting them inside, right under the lights and in that situation. And then they kind of adapt immediately to the climate indoors, whatever you have going there with the grow lights. But outdoors, if you're doing anything on the patio, you'd want to sort of keep them going in that patio situation. There is a possibility, though, that that you could potentially trim the plants down very low. Say if you had a seedling tray full of small lettuce plants, you could snip them down nice and low and kind of dry them out a little bit and then bring them indoors into that condition and see how they do. But I would probably go side-by-side comparisons with a flat that I had outside and a flat that I had inside that I'm bringing on right under the lights and see the difference. Remember that when you grow any of these plants indoors, you have to have really good air circulation. So having a little fan that's blowing on them all the time is really useful. And just watching that water, of course, which is why the hydroponics works so well for a lot of these leafy crops. They're constantly moist, or
I haven't tried any hydroponics. I'd like to get into it for the winter especially. Have you tried any?
Yeah.
Well, I've done hydroponics as early as 1968 when we were growing in our tomato crops in the greenhouse in bags because the soil got contaminated with some kind of a virus. So we couldn't grow in the soil anymore, so we started growing them in bags with sawdust. Now, that virtually is hydroponics. It's soilless gardening. Yeah. Some hydroponics use no medium at all. They just grow them in tubes and that sort of thing. And this year, in the spring, I was at the Studio 9 school, private school out in Rutland, and they had these towers with vegetables. I was really surprised at how well they were doing. And I could, if you give me a call or email me, Bonnie, because I have the name of that outfit that you could buy that whole thing set up for indoor use, and it's a hydroponic setup, and it has the lights and everything on it. It's quite an interesting thing. It's not,
and it's called aeroponics. That one,
is it
when the roots are just hanging, and then they mist the roots with a mist.
Yeah. It was very successful.
Yeah, it works really well,
and for especially for lettuce and things like that.
And to grow vertically too, it's a little bit like when you're growing indoors. Then it's keeping all that humidity and moisture within the tube, and then it just drops back down into the recirculating tank at the bottom. So, like some actual hydroponic systems are more like keeping the water running and trickling at all times, and it can be quite a humidity issue indoors. So especially like in our homes, but where these ones where they're kind of a vertical tower, they're a little bit easier to deal with. There's not as much humidity given off. There's always some, but it comes from the plants themselves, but it's not enough to, cause your whole house.
Well, our homes are so dry anyway. I wouldn't mind a little extra humidity.
Yeah, especially in the Okanagan here, we do suffer with dry air.
Right. But I'd like to look at that place, Dawn. Are you Dawn at the Garden Expert?
Yeah, you can go Dawn at the Garden Expert or go D. Burnett at thegardenexpert.com, and I'll send you pictures.
D. Burnett, gardenexpert.com.
D. Burnett at the Garden Expert. It's got to have
the.
Yeah, got to have the in there, otherwise it goes to England.
Okay.
Okay, dear.
I will. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Very welcome. Thanks for the call.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
And we have joining us Wesley. Good morning, Wesley.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a question. Mm-hmm. I replanted some irises, rhizomes. Mm-hmm. Now, I planted them very shallow. They're only down about an inch or two. And I'm wondering, do I have to do anything before winter?
No, not with those. The key with an iris rhizome is that the very top of it, it should be exposed to the atmosphere.
Oh, okay.
So the bottom part of it can be under the soil, and then just a little bit of the top of the rhizome is exposed to the atmosphere, and then you just let the plant go, and they shouldn't be affected at all by cold or dehydration or anything. They're really quite durable, and especially once they start rooting, they're good to go. They're very durable.
So I don't need to mulch or anything. Just leave them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just let them be.
I appreciate you, and I love the show.
Thank you, dear. Appreciate that
so much. Yeah, thanks for participating.
You betcha.
Bye-bye.
Look, I just got a little text from Alan Reed, and I just want to mention that the stand is open. Alan Reed's stand. I forget the anyway on
Hazeldell.
Yeah, why my mind's going somewhere because I actually looked up the hydroponic system. It's called the Tower Garden.
Yeah.
By Juice Plus. Tower Garden. You can Google that Tower Garden and get that. But it was
there's lots of manufacturers of them, and it's good to check around and see what's available. They can be purchased off the internet or it was some creative people actually make them.
The reason I like the thing is because it was so successful. And often these things are gimmicky and they're not successful. This was producing lettuce.
Yeah, and the whole key is in the light. Actually, the growing facility is quite easy to manage, but you got to have the right type of light. And
the fun thing was, this was January 19th.
Yeah.
January 19th, and it shows a big. So, if you're interested, I will send anybody. I can send these pictures of this tower garden along if you give me an email. And the Hazeldale Orchards stand is open, and it's exciting.
Burn Road, yeah.
Yeah, and out picking, he says, we're out picking the first crop ever in our new Bartlett pear block. Beautiful fruit. And we're going to go and get some Flemish Beauty because we got to get the drying. And they say that drying Flemish Beauty is the best. So they've got their pears.
This guy's got to be at least
apples
7
and
feet
juice
tall,
is going to be
maybe
coming
more.
on pretty quick here.
Juicing.
Lots of fun there at Hazeldale Orchards on Burns Road.
Have a look at those flowers.
Okay, we're just getting close to the end of the show today, and I want to mention
nice, and they're kind of
that the upcoming event this weekend, September 4th, starting on Monday,
but,
pretty
interesting plant
at the Abkhazi Gardens in Victoria. And very exciting that they have what they have going on there.
Big ones.
Yeah, it's something that they do every year, but it's the paintings of the gardens. The people, these painters, these artists, all through the season paint scenes in the gardens. And so we're going to have to say goodbye. It is right at the end of the show here now. We're going to start our garden tips, and then we're going to say goodbye. My garden tip, of course, is don't give up on your annuals. The fall coolness will bring them on. So just don't give up on them. Hibiscus moschutus Summer Storm is my plant of the week. I'm having a lot of fun with that. People walk by and they just go, oh, man, what is that?
Yeah, very showy.
Yeah.
All right, I also have a tip and a plant. My tip of the week is that now that we're into September, it's an excellent time to plant your cover crop. Any areas of your garden where there's no plants growing, get something growing there. And a nice thing is a nitrogen-fixing plant like crimson clover can be planted right now. It'll germinate quickly and get up and start growing, and it can grow a bit next spring as well. And then you just snip it off at the ground level and leave the roots in the ground and go ahead and plant. It really helps improve the soil. All right, now my plant of the week is the Heptacodium myconioides, for all you Latin-speaking people, which is the Seven Suns tree, and it blooms in the month of September. It's just a small tree, only to about 15 feet tall, and it's a lovely fall bloomer. It's just something unique. There you go. That's my tips and plants. Remember to check growercoach.com and Grower Coach on YouTube.
A few years ago, Ken and I had the opportunity to go to the ISA conference in Victoria, and we got to listen to Dr. Shigo, who is the father of modern arboriculture. He gave us a talk there, and he has a book called Tree Pithy Points, amongst many other books. This is one of his tree pithy points. Because the treetops are dormant, it doesn't mean the roots are dormant. Important. That's it. There's another garden show in the books, and we will be back next week with more of the garden.